It's evening for Torkil.
Well, is it evening for you, Doc?
It's evening. Evening for me.
Dr. Torkil Færø,
late evening.
welcome. Yeah.
And thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You do
Great
win
to
the
be talking
prize for
to
the
you.
coolest letter in your name that we've ever had on the show. That little AE situation is pretty fun.
A and OE, Norwegian Viking letters. Yeah,
and it's funny, I was a graphic
like
design major in college, and we had a whole lesson on like ligatures, where like two like letters get merged together, and so like the AE thing is actually one of them. And I'm like, oh look, I know that letter. I took a class and then never used that information until right this second.
Yeah. You can use
really
it now.
exotic.
Yeah, really exotic
I went to Iceland,
letters. Yeah.
It's funny. It was the only country I've ever been to where I was like, okay, I got nothing. I got absolutely nothing. Well, welcome, man. I can't wait to talk to you. You got a very cool topic, because Tom and I are all into wearable everything. And if I could track every second of my life somehow, I would probably find that to be okay. So, I'm I got into a very passionate discussion with a teacher of mine in my neighborhood who's like, I can't believe you would do 23andMe and you're recording your heartbeat and all this other stuff. And like, oh my God, they have all your data.
They have all your data.
And I was
they have all your data.
They're going to find out that I lead a pretty boring life.
It is really not as interesting as the government thinks.
So no, but anyway, I can't wait to break this open with you. But so were you always how'd you get into what you're into now? Like, I mean, what was that path look like?
That's a long path, but I was starting maybe 6 years ago with using an ECG monitor strapped to my chest, because I heard about heart rate variability, the importance of it, and just stumbled upon a product what I was using for a couple of years with an ECG monitor. And then I understood that Garmin had the same system in their watches. And I started diving into it. I understood that following the heart rate and understanding more about the physiology inside is so important. And after a couple of years of doing that, my editor at the publisher that I'm writing books for asked if this was a subject for them. And so I started to write The Pulse Cure, which is, I think, the first book on how to use wearables. I think it still is, at least the only book that I can find on Amazon that is explaining how to use the Oura Ring, the Apple Watch, the Garmin watch, the Whoop band, and all of these different devices, coupled to how it will affect our health. So the better our heart rate, the better our health, that you probably have understood also by using your own wearables. And I think it's tracking the autonomic nervous system, tracking the physiology. It's like a dashboard into it, kind of give you a glimpse on what goes on under the hood of your own body. And I just find it like invaluable information. And now, so far, the book has been translated into 9 languages, which is just incredible, like in Chinese and Dutch and Italian and Danish and English and all around the world. So, yeah, it's been quite an adventure for me. That is something that started with me just using this ECG wearable and being very nerdy about it. And people thought I was kind of crazy, walking around checking my heart rate. Who would do that? And of course now is
everybody's doing it. So Doc, can I ask you this, because and Matt and I've had this kind of discussion several times. So many people are collecting the data, and I feel so few people do anything with it. It's like it's just sitting there in an app on their phone. And they do it because, they like the term biohacking, or they think they're doing something, but they're not actually making changes one way or the other. What are you doing in your book to explain this in a way that I guess helps people get something actionable?
Yeah, because that is what it's about. Because if you don't know what to do, then you don't really have any use of the information. it's like you're driving your car and you see that the temperature is high and you're driving too fast and the pressure is low or something, and you don't know what to do about it. And the book just explains that. It explains how to make the circumstances around your sleep improve, to dim the lights in the evening, have a cool bedroom, have it really dark in the bedroom, avoid late night meals, maybe 3 hours before you go to bed, avoid alcohol, at all costs, and these kind of things, and how to exercise without overdoing it or underdoing it, so that you find the right amount of intensity compared to all the rest of the stressors in your life.
Tom was getting at is like a lot of people, even educated people on this topic, they have miles of data. And we actually talked to somebody who had a relationship with, I forget who it was. It wasn't Aura, but it was one of these sort of wearable companies. And even they were like, we just don't know what to do with all of this stuff. Like we have so much data now, like so much, miles and miles of data. Like, what can you really do with it? And that's where I started to go down the rabbit hole. I'm like, all right, well, I have my 23andMe raw data, right? And now I can sort of Venn diagram that with all kinds of shit, right? Like, I mean, that becomes like an interesting weapon. But then you get out there and even that, you're like, okay, great. I know that like I have a really good knowledge, for example, of my resting heart rate. So I could wake up in the morning, look at my resting heart rate, instantly tell you. I don't have to look at any other number, just that one number. I could be like, all right, I slept good. I didn't sleep good. I'm getting sick. I'm healthy. Like it's instant, right? If I look at HRV on top of that, it's like, if I was uncertain, now I'm not, right? Like those two things, I can do it. That took me 10 years to figure out how to do that. Now, maybe it wouldn't have taken 10 years if I had like a guide, but I mean, it still took a long time to.
Yeah.
Okay.
It took me 3 years because from medical school.
What was your practice,
I'm a
by the
doctor.
way? What was your specialty?
We learned that general.
Okay.
Yeah, general practitioner. And I had heard about the autonomic nervous system, which heart rate variability tracks, right? As the sympathetic fight, flight, and freeze part, or the parasympathetic restful part. And as I was never stressed, I would think that I would be in the parasympathetic restful state all the time. But, when I saw it on the monitor, I saw I was in the stress state all the time. Because of alcohol, because that I was eating food that I couldn't tolerate well, because I ate late night meals. I had used some nicotine, we have in small bags under the lips that we use in Norway.
Dip.
And all this created stress, that I had no idea that food could stress me, that eating cakes could stress me, or eating bread and these kind of things, or eating chili, for example.
You just lost half.
So all of this
would
would affect
no cakes,
how
no chili, no
I
booze.
felt.
Fuck off.
But I'm assuming, Doc, in a really real sense, this is so individualized, right?
Yeah, it's very much so.
What may screw up your autonomic nervous system is not something to throw off everybody.
Exactly, and that is the best part of this, because you get a device that shows how your system reacts to certain things. Because what I do as a doctor in my everyday job is to find out, okay, if you have a research, having 10,000 participants, they find that the average person reacts in this way.
Right.
And that is the numbers that we use, right? But that does not really have any importance when it comes to how you react to certain things. So this shows you how your system is reacting. And unfortunately, my system is reacting very badly to alcohol. There's something that I did not know. I thought that alcohol would be great to get some really good sleep, And of course, having a wearable, that's the very, very worst thing you can do. According to Whoop, alcohol is the worst stressor of all. And I thought it was the best,
well, I'm from
the best thing.
San Francisco Bay Area, which is very close to Napa, which makes a ton of wine if you're not aware of the area. And so you know, wine's like a condiment for most people I know, right? You just put it, you have it with everything, right? And the most depressing thing on the planet was when I realized that if I have 2 glasses of wine, my HRV goes from like 40 something to 20 something.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worse than having the flu
bad.
or COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the worst thing you can do. Really, really bad. And I used to think, you know, because I was drinking 2 glasses every day and having small children, and I thought, okay, it's a busy family life that makes me tired. Now, in hindsight, what made me tired was these 2 glasses of wine, you know, that I used to wind down in the evening, and thinking would only help me, because even as doctors, we used to recommend men to have 2 glasses of wine a day, and women to have 1 glass of wine a day. It would be beneficial for your health. You know, of course, it's not the way it works, unfortunately, because I was very happy about that.
I hate to say that affected me the way it did, but that knowledge was pretty upsetting, because I'm with you, you know, like, look, a lot of people, and I hear this all the time, right? People are like, I'm good, I exercise, I do this, and here's my one vice. Well, your one vice is like a bag of chocolate in the nightstand, or 2 glasses of wine at night, or whatever, right? But it's like, okay, well, yeah, this might be the only thing you're doing, but like, it's not a good thing. So like, kind of, fuck, now I have to reconcile this in my life. You know what I mean? Like, and that was like the annoying part for me, right? So, I don't.
And the important thing is that, you know, we don't really have a sense for this. We don't have, because it has never been needed throughout evolution. We have excellent eyesight, excellent smell, excellent taste, and excellent sense of touch, because historically, throughout the millions of years, you know, all the threats came from outside, from other animals, from enemies and foul food and such things. But from our own stress levels, it was never needed. You know, either you were being hunted, or you hunted, or you relaxed. You know, there was nothing else to do. But now we're in the stressful mode. You know, so many of us, most of the time, and we get tired, we get sick, and we get sick in a way that is hard to pin down, hard for us doctors to find out. There are few lab tests that would show that you're in a fatigue situation, for example, or a burnout situation, but the heart rate will show it. So it's just that what I use at the ER, where I usually work, what I'm looking for in the patient is the heart rate, the oxygen level, the temperature, and these are the things also that the wearables
those are like the
take
baselines
in as information, and that's a baseline. And they use it with millions of users. They get the algorithms, and they have artificial intelligence that can, you know, give you the results of what is happening in your life that you really have no. I think you have no chance. Like you said, you spent years, you know, trying to untangle this and what really affected the heart rate variability. I spent like 3 years, and writing the book, you know, my hope is that, okay, the people don't need to have those 3 years. They can learn it a lot
and
faster.
I think that now we're getting. So, I think we've evolved. I think enough that we now have examples of how to use these things. Like, I mean, Oura Ring is basically a household name now, right? Like, whoever would have thought that a ring that measures everything about your body almost like would become so commonplace that everyone knows. Well, I mean, my kids know what an Oura Ring is. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's. And, you know, that means that you don't have to guess so much. But here's where I think people still struggle. They think buying the Oura Ring is the thing. They're like, well, I got an Oura Ring. It must, I'm at the finish line. We're all good now. Right? And I'm like, well, no.
But it's that doing something about what you know, I think is really the hard step. And I think, you know, a book like this, it can be that whether or not somebody actually makes the change, right? Then now they know what to do with it. I always get excited when I see some new tech, because it's another thing to buy. It's another distraction. But I feel like Oura and Whoop and all of these products really have given two demographics, and you can correct me here, Doc, if I'm wrong. Two demographics, the biggest insights. One, that's the chronically ill. That's the ones that like everything's horrible on them. Chronic Lyme, mold infection, these things where they just can't clear infections. And then the athletes. Do you see like the middle of the road average people starting to kind of key in on these benefits too? Or is it, are they the later adopters because they have less to, I guess, visibly notice?
That, I think that depends. I see in Norway, it's a really, really huge trend that more or less everybody would know how to use this and more or less what to do. Of course, because of the book, because in Norway, it has been this huge bestseller. It has been selling, I think, if we compare it to American population, it would have sold like 3 or 4 million copies.
Wow!
So it's incredible.
So you like a pop star
in Norway, almost everybody would know. Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a really crazy thing. That's because that's so different for me as a doctor, because I'm used to being just a normal doctor talking one-on-one with the patients, and suddenly I get recognized on the streets and being in the media almost on a weekly basis. So
wow.
So it's a real change for me. But then I think that both the kind of normal people, they just need to adjust a few things, adjust what they eat, the timing of when they're eating. They need to know how, the alcohol and different things affect their heart rate variability, and they're good to go. And then they feel a lot better. They have more energy to be productive and do whatever they want, whether they are entrepreneurs or just having busy jobs and a busy family life. They have more energy they will not be as tired in the evening. And then, of course, you have the athletes, as you say, they have been driving this whole field, to gain some extra seconds here and there or centimeters. And then the most happy group about this, that would be the fatigue people, that you just said. People with mold problems, people who are been stressing too much, and they will see that their numbers are like horrible. But when they start to tweak their lifestyle, getting some more rest, some more outside time, being outside in nature, exercising, these kind of things, getting sunlight, super, super important. You can see it on the heart rate variability. If you're in the sunlight, that it will improve a lot. I have not
heard that. That's interesting. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but I mean, that's also pretty fascinating.
Well, I think also I'm going to just assume that other countries in general are healthier than people in the United States. I think we can have some data that would back that up too. So you're saying it's minor tweaks, but like I feel for the average American that may be a complete overhaul in their lifestyle.
Yeah, that may be absolutely. Like the probably like 2/3. I think probably like 1/3 of the American population would be the fittest ever, right? I mean, fitness is American. There's so much knowledge, so many fit people, but among the the unfit,
we're 2/3.
I'm sure they do almost everything wrong.
3/4 more obesity in this country. 3/4. That's like a big number.
Yeah.
And I mean, you touched on all the causes. No, it's not just what we're eating. We're working more than most other countries, yet we're less productive, right? We're constantly stressed about finances. We're constantly stressed. Our healthcare system,
and sleeping, sleeping less, thinking that would be a good thing to do. And now people are bragging about their sleep scores instead of how little they sleep, right? Yeah. Instead of saying, okay, I get by on 4 hours, now they say, okay, I got 90 in the sleep score last night. And you will feel better quite fast, So once you start changing these things, then, in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks, you will feel the difference. It's funny
because maybe listen, I always say that my results are a healthy mix of placebo effect and actual effect, right? Because I'm a placebo dude through and through. But if if I have an 18 HRV, I'm like, all right, I'm going to bed at like 10:30 tonight because like I got to go to bed, right? And then the next day it's like 60. You're like, all right, cool. Like, I mean, it can like for me, I'm like, look, I know what caused this. I got 5 hours of sleep last night. Like, I'm not.
Yeah. And then you can balance, and we're not supposed to be rigid. You're supposed to put, hormetic stress on your system, and we're not supposed to live a perfect life every day. But at least then that, okay, an HRV of 18 is really, you have to do something about that. You have to go to bed a bit earlier this night, and you will be in balance again.
But that's the part that I think a lot of people.
So it gives you. It's just like an economy. It's just like an economy. If you didn't know how much money you make, or if you go into the store and you have no idea what things cost, there's no price tag on it. You're blind. And this gives you some of this kind of insight. Okay, 2 glasses of alcohol costs this. Eating candy late in the evening, watching Netflix is a stressor. You cannot check off on the relaxing account.
Right.
Doing that, right? So you get insight into the body budget that I'm talking about in the book, so that it makes it easier for you to take informed
the one
choices.
That I think is evidence of the fact that we've really arrived on the wearable stage is the CGMs that everybody's wearing now. You can get these things in every flavor under the sun. The early days of those guys with an actual CGM in that was probably very uncomfortable, very hard, painful to put in and all that stuff. Now they're like iPhone apps and like it's like super simple. But like that's like mind bending because my wife was following a dude. I don't know if he still does it anymore, and I can't remember his name. But like he would just basically every day eat something different and post the results, right? And one of the craziest things, he did this whole deep dive on rice, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, brown rice is better." Well, it turns out from a glucose response standpoint, it actually wasn't better than white rice. But what was even better was cook the white rice, put it in the refrigerator overnight, and then eat it, warm it up the next day. That had the lowest of all of them. And I was like, who the hell would ever figure that out?
Okay.
Right? Like, I mean, like that's like one of those things that you could only get if you had like a real scientific type approach. Right. And like,
and we all respond differently to the blood glucose
of course,
as well.
But that's all the more reason. You're like, oh wait, this guy had the lowest glucose response with refrigerated, reheated white rice. Would I do the same? And then you can go find out. At least you now know what to look for. I couldn't have come up with that experiment if you had a gun to my head. Like, I mean, like, who would have thought, like, okay, let me try every permutation of rice. Like I don't know. It just seems like a deep dive. But now I'm glad he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Brian
need the Johnson's
nerds,
one
right?
of my fucking heroes. This guy should be sainted. Why? I think he's crazy, but he's doing a lot of crazy shit so that I don't have to. I'm excited about that. And this guy's got a wearable on every part of his body. That guy's taking it to a whole nother level.
Right? Isn't his new thing? He's now taking a hero dose of psilocybin every 3 to 4 months or something.
Else, I mean,
all right.
Doc, what do you think of that?
He's like,
I don't know. but the good thing is that at least all the different strategies that I'm talking about in my book, they are free. They don't cost anything. Sleep is free. Doing breath work to calm yourself down is free. Being cold is free. Exercise, being out in the sunlight, being out in the nature is free. Fasting, of course, is even cheaper. Staying away from alcohol and different things. So you would end up richer and fitter, right? So, but the problem also is that there is no money behind this. You cannot monetize on this. There's nobody paying for a commercial, to go out in nature and
wouldn't that be a funny ad campaign for the national park system? Like, oh hey, lower your HRV, come to the nature, come to the parks. I mean,
yeah.
Well, I think, and Matt and I have even joked about that, right? Like, we all want the gadget, right? And in this way, it allows you to quantify. But if you wanted to write the best book on health, you can't make any money past selling that book, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, I got no product to sell you. It's not a fancy protein bar. It's not an exercise program. It's just hey, look, moderation, and here's some core principles.
Breathe slowly, get cold. It's not. I'm not making money out of that. Yeah, and that is actually a problem because I still have to work full time as a doctor. Because even being such a best-selling author in Norway I'm not making the same amount of money as I would being a doctor. I mean, I'm losing money, and if I had a product to sell, that would solve it. But the air is free and the sun is free, and the sleeping is free. So, authors. Unfortunately for me, it's all.
I mean. You said you got some notoriety. I mean, like, if you wanted to, your currency could be like the speaking thing and all that neat stuff, right? Like, you could.
I get a lot more paid for speaking,
and that's
opportunities.
Cool too, because you know what? Then you get to help people face to face, right? And I think that's kind of. We just had our first experience with that.
Yeah, and you get to, and the reason why I get this fame or whatever you call it is because it works. It's because people send me every day. You changed my life. Suddenly I can do everything. I'm not tired like I used to be, and I got rid of this and this kind of disease. So that is also some way of payback.
Maybe you need brand endorsements. Have you reached out to Aura?
Yeah.
Reach out to Whoop.
No, I haven't. And I'm using all of them. Like I have the Garmin here, I have the Whoop, Whoop here, and the Aura here. So
design a band just for you.
We've had a lot of wearable people on the show, and it's funny.
That's what a smart thing would. Smart people would do.
That's it. Right.
You already made it through med school. You don't have to prove yourself anymore, man.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of wearable people on the show, and it's funny every time one comes on, and like Tom and I get excited because we have to buy a new thing. But honestly, all of them sort of give me like a different piece of a bigger puzzle, right? Like, and it's
angle, yeah.
That's why I have these three as well. They will have their own strengths and weaknesses. Right. So and from them, I would clearly Garmin is by far the best one.
What do you like about that?
So
why do you think that?
I would. It's that they have the curves from the day so much more easier to read and understand. It's so much more accuracy and data, and that is because they have integrated the numbers and algorithms from First Beat Analytics, which is a Finnish really, really good company. And I used at some time, I used both the ECG monitor that I talked about and the Garmin, and I could see that it's accurate enough, and you wouldn't be able, for example, from Whoop and Aura, when I once had a lunch at work and I had 2 huge slices of cake, instead of the usual salad that I used to have. And I could see that the stress level was high, for hours afterwards. And it was so much easier to see on the Garmin that I wouldn't have known even on the Whoop or Aura, because in the morning after, they wouldn't have known that from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., my stress level were high. But I could clearly see that on the Garmin. So I think the Garmin is by far the most actionable result that gives you most detail into the
And we get a lot of
budget,
people that come on, we've had a lot of conversations with people arguing about like, my HRV comes primarily from my Apple Watch or this thing, which is an Aura knockoff, which I'm finding is working less and less. So I might probably going back to Aura here because I definitely like having the convenience of that. But like, people get into like Apple doesn't know how to measure HRV the right way. They use a different protocol. They use a different whatever. And I'm like, and that's the part where I start to fall apart a little bit because I'm like, all right, I can either track my HRV or I can go down the wormhole of like, what protocol are you using and all that. And I'm like, all right, that gets a little bit outside of my like patience level. You know what I mean? And so like, how do you sort of, do you have a litmus test for that on your own? Like, you're like, I mean, would you know that Apple's HRV is shit, or
have you worn the monitor and then compared with everything, or just the Garmin?
I used the ECG monitor, the Garmin, and the Oura Whoop.
Okay.
I'm probably 10 more brands. So at times I've been looking like like a robot or a cyborg, like lights blinking from all over. So I've been checking them almost all on the market, like Samsung, and all of them are quite good. And all of them are so much better than just your own guesswork, which is the worst choice, right? So, but I think that Garmin, both from the price range, you would from $250, you would get an entry level that is really really good enough, and the ease of use. My mother at 82 understands it, so I think it's the easiest one. And in the book, in the Pulse Gear, I'm always referring to Garmin about the body battery system. It's also easy, that you can find out from 0 to 100 what's your body battery, how much have you charged overnight, and how much are you using during the day. So it's almost like seeing the on the battery on your iPhone.
Or in your experience? Yeah.
What
is that? Do you know what that's actually measuring by chance?
So
I'm just curious.
It's mostly based on heart rate variability.
Yeah, it seems to be the linchpin of everything is HRV. And
so so heart rate variability is, and it's almost beautiful for a doctor, because the heart rate variability use the combination of the heart rate and the breath, to find the heart rate variability, or that is what is affecting the heart rate variability. So the basic vital functions of our body. So maybe some of the listeners do not know what heart rate variability is. And heart rate variability is a variation between heartbeats. So if you are in the relaxed state, where that we, from evolution, is meant to be in most of the time. When we put these trackers on hunter-gatherers that still exist today, they would be, in intense activity, maybe 3 hours a day. Light intense and moderate intense activity, 3 hours a day. The rest of the time, they would be relaxing. They would be in the parasympathetic restful mode. And in that mode, when you breathe in, the heart rate goes up a little bit. It kind of speeds up now that there is more oxygen in the lungs. And when you breathe out, there's a bit less oxygen in the lungs. The heart rate slows down just a little bit, measured in milliseconds. So in this state, there will be a variation between heartbeats, almost like waves in the ocean, going up and going down. But if you're in the stressed state, for whatever reason, either if you're overweight, you are in the week before the period, for women, for example, that's a huge stress factor. Then the heart rate will beat at a very steady pace, almost like a metronome. And that is the thing that these trackers pick up. And that is almost like the organism senses that, okay, this organism is under stress, this individual, and you need to use all available forces, because you don't know if you will survive the next second. Because this system is like 100 millions of years old, and basically unchanged from that 100 millions of years. They don't know that you have a bad boss, or that you are quarreling with your wife, or that you are eating something that your food, your intestinal system is really not made to deal with, from ultra processed food and such things. So this is how we get this insight, using the heart rate variability as almost like the needle on your speedometer that shows you how much strain are you under. And when you use the numbers from all these different people, that we can tell whether this strain is sustainable over time, and if there is too much strain, the immune system is not working properly, and any kind of disease, can come forward. This is why heart rate variability is connected to almost any disease you can think of. You can put the disease, that you think of, and you can Google it, or maybe now put it into AI, combined with heart rate variability, and you will find that there are lots of research.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was talking to a doctor friend of mine, and he's like, it's funny, everyone's talking about HRV now, but like we've been talking about it as doctors for a while, and it's not really so new there. And but now it almost works against me, because like if I'm out of town on vacation and I'm drinking wine every night, right? Like come back, I'm like, oh, my HRV hasn't been above 30 for a week. Now I'm like going into panic mode, and I'm like, well, it's not a panic situation, but it's probably a, do something about it sooner rather than later situation. But then you start to get caught up. I do anyway, and I think I can't be alone, but you start to get caught up in the numerical value. And now that's not so healthy for me either. That's
adding another stressor.
It is good information, but sometimes too much information.
So you need to have the same attitude towards it, just like you have in the car. When you started learning how to drive the car, you had your eyes fixed in the mirrors and on the needle and all the time, but now you're far away into your own thoughts. Have you been driving far a good distance and you can't even remember that you did it, so after a while, you will get these numbers in just like you do from the information on the dashboard in your car. But in the first, in the first times that you're using this, it's getting an insight into what goes on and under your hood, and is all new to you. And of course, it will, disturb some people, because most people will find out that they are too much stress for their own good. They are under too much stress, and their capacity to tolerate stress, is poor. So you have to work on both sides. You need to adjust the level of stress on one side, and you have to build your capacity on the other side, so that you go into
and that's where we
a
start
healthy
getting
balance.
Into meditation, right? Like, so it's like, okay.
Well, but it's also pretty tricky where when those stressors are external, say they're work related, family related, and you can't do too much to bring that down, and you really have to dig into that other side. Can you still see enough improvement to be healthy and maintain those stress levels, or have we, burnt the candle at both ends for too long?
Yeah, I think so. I think that you'll probably be able to identify some stressors that you cannot really do anything about. You have the children, you have that kind of a job, you have to commute such a distance and so on, and you cannot do anything about that. But then you have to start regulating the things that you really can affect and identify those factors, which may be surprising to you. Maybe the best thing for you is skipping breakfast. Maybe that's what turns you into the right direction. Skipping the evening meal that you thought was so important for you. And maybe you don't have to go all in on every exercise if you have a stressful life. Maybe you just go training in zone 2 instead. That will not give you any lactic acid and will not give you so much recovery time afterwards. So you may do a little bit of that. And maybe at work, for example, people contact me and say that, okay, when I'm interacting with a certain colleague, I get stressed and I can see it on the heart rate monitor. I showed it to my boss and asked, can I spend less time with this particular colleague here? And we're being granted that.
Wow.
Other people see that, okay, if I'm interacting with this colleague and it will be in this kind of meetings, I get stressed. Okay, then they will do some breath work, and calm themselves down, once they can see, the stress levels on their garden wash.
And I think that's like how I think a lot of people that we talk to over here kind of look at it, is like, look, I got this, I'm going to be actionable with it. Like, and like, then it becomes almost like a discovery process. You're like, look what else I found out about this, right? Like, you're like, oh my God, I got this new insight over here. And then we start swapping them like baseball cards. We're like, all right, well, what did you get out of that? And I mean, I can't tell you, I got a whole drawer full of shit I don't use here anymore. Right. Like, but they all kind of got me somewhere, right? And now I kind of go back and one, actually, you talk about HRV. We had the Sensei company on the show, and what an interesting device that is. Who the hell would have thought that worked, right? But I got probably 30 days of data on my own self that said, no, that actually works well. That's oddly. And you feel like, look, I'm not going to lie, I feel a little stupid wearing that thing, because you got this like vibrating teardrop on your chest. You're like, this couldn't possibly be doing anything. But I got, what I did? I got real nerdy with it, because I like to kind of do some somatic stuff with that. Like, I don't want to just sit there. I want to kind of stretch or, lean into something. And so the thing wasn't touching my chest. So I went up and got my old Garmin chest strap. Yeah, and I put it, tied it on, and now I use that to like hold it down to my chest. And you know what? You can kind of bend over in this like real nice vinyasa type flow and still have Sense8 doing its thing. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. But that's that sort of like N of one.
Cool. Yeah, I've been trying that. Yeah, and that's the important thing. If it works on you or not, you know, for other people, maybe it doesn't do anything or even stresses them, you know. So the same thing can have a different effect. And that is also what is good about the Garmin watch, that I can at any time just push the watch and I can see that my stress level in the moment now is 30 on a scale from then 0 to 100. So, and that means that, you know, sometimes, you know, now of course I know what to expect, but earlier, you know, I could get surprises, you know, why is the stress so high now? You know, what's happening, you know, and then you can do breath work and you can see that it goes down, and then you can, you know, regulate it that way. So, and that, at least to my knowledge, Garmin is the only one that has this stress level in the moment.
I can do that, but not
almost like the, you know, like in the dashboard.
It has to tally. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it has to tally
with the Aura. Yeah. And you need the information. In the moment, you know, it doesn't help you if you are driving your car and you understand the next day that, okay, you were driving too fast, you know, yesterday, at 2:00, you know. It doesn't give you the same information as
so
when you do it in the moment.
You seem pretty dialed in on sort of the, I don't know, the state of the union, as it were, on these wearables. Do you have anything like that's got your eye like on the horizon that's like you see or coming out, or anything that's like got your interest right now? I'm curious.
Not really, but I think the combination with the CGM is important. I use it for a month or two every year, you know, just to get reminded of what affects, because if you don't have the, you know, the CGM, often you forget how important the blood sugar regulation is. And that is another example that we don't have an alarm system for the blood sugar, but what kills us now, you know, that is insulin resistance and a high blood sugar, you know, that will affect every disease more or less. But there's no alarm system. That the blood sugar, you know, can be like 15, you know, that would be on a European scale. It could be really, really high, and you don't really feel anything. Because the alarm system, there has never been any need to develop an alarm system, because throughout the millions of years, you know, it has never been a problem.
We've never had that problem. Sugar,
sit there and eat a whole blueberry bush, and your sugar was spiked. That there was probably a good reason, like you were either starving and you stayed and ate all the berries or something, right? Like, but it wasn't going to last.
And you weren't doing it. You weren't doing it every day.
And who cares about an insulin spike, even 2-3 days in a row? Yeah, it doesn't even matter, right?
One.
But let me ask you: when you go into your month, do you kind of go in like, I don't want to say cheating the system, but are you like all of a sudden eating right that day?
Yeah.
I usually do. And what I recommend people is to have maybe 2 weeks, because they often would last for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So for the first 2 weeks, do no change, just to see exactly what the measurement will be in your normal daily life as it is in the moment. And then maybe, you know, try to have 2 weeks where you try to do and get good results.
Intentionally,
Eat more, you know, meat and proteins and less carbohydrates, and see what happens and see how we can do that. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because when I first did it, I was like, oh, I'm going to be real good. You know, that was my first thought. I'm not going to touch anything. And then I said, well, that's not really experimenting. I'm already screwing with my natural diet. And then I went the other way, where it's like, let's see how high I can get this thing. Which probably wasn't good either. It's like, I'm going to have 2 more pieces of cake right now. Let's just push it.
Then you have a good excuse, you know, for having that extra cake, because you can see what happens.
And I know the other one.
Yeah.
No,
that's what I do as well.
I like
that's what I do as well.
Like MyFitnessPal, right? Like I use that to track calories when I'm doing some kind of food experiment. Wouldn't you know it? The first day of every single experiment I ever do, it's like I'm a fucking priest in a monastery. I'm eating like you couldn't imagine. Best behavior and it's only because like when I have to record into the device, I ate a Big Mac, I ate a large fry, like you're like, fuck, I don't want to write that down. Like, so like I don't. So my answer is like flat out, I'm just not going to do it. Right. Or if you're at like 1,800 calories and you're like, all right, there's this like, I don't know, a piece of cake, something just waiting and everyone's having it. You're like, oh, that's going to put me into like well into the 2000s. And I just don't want to fuck with that. Like, I'm just not going to. And to your point, Tom, it's not really experimenting, but I'm like, almost like I should just be on that thing all the time because I'd probably have zero problems.
You'd be on better behavior. Yeah. It's like having a cop constantly behind you. Yeah.
But then you also learn how to trick it, by eating salad first, for example, or going for an easy walk afterwards. So, and when you see the results live, as on your monitor, it's so much easier to find out how to do that. So, and to eat, if you start eating the proteins and fat and then eat the carbs, afterwards. Like if you eat dessert on an empty stomach and eat the dessert after having a meal with lots of protein and fat, it's two totally different measurements. So at least then you get the insight and you can take more qualified choices when you know what's going on inside of you.
I don't want to say biohacks, but I've heard all, you talk to a lot of, I mean, look, weight loss is $1 trillion industry, right? Like everybody's, got a thing there. But one thing they all seem to agree on is eat good stuff first and you eat less of the shitty stuff second, right? Like, I mean, and it's not rocket science, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But it would be kind of interesting to have a quantification of that. I have not done a CGM. It's one of the very few weird gadgets that I have not played with yet. And,
man, you can your doc will write a script. It's $35
it's not a
bucks
price
out of
thing.
pocket.
It was just like I never took the motivation to go.
Yeah. And it's also gamification, So many people are often thinking, okay, will it not just be stressful? But I think most people would find it more like interesting, like a gamification, and it's your own life at health that is at stake, and not some avatar in a video game or so. And I think that it's also important to say that working as a doctor, you either do some effort to stay healthy, or you will pay on the other side of the disease, right? And then you are not in control. Then it depends, is the disease that you contracted at all curable? Or is your doctor good enough, or your local hospital, and it's out of your hands.
Right.
This is literally in your hands. So you have control. And of course, there's no need to overdo it. There's no need to put some perfectionism into this. But going like 80%, of the way is, or maybe even 30-40%,
sure.
That's the most important.
Better than
to do something.
Than nothing. But I mean, look, I hate. I made a commitment to do 10,000 steps, like a recommitment a couple months ago, and it sucks. It's getting cold here. I don't want to go outside. Like, period. Right. No, I know, and that's even worse because I know that it is, right? And I'm like, fuck, I got to put on a jacket. Well, maybe I don't need a jacket. Maybe I should go out for 10 minutes without a jacket. And now I'm going through this whole thing. But like, look, I feel great every time I do it, but it's getting harder and harder. And I think that's coming from a guy who has a health podcast. Like, I have every reason in the world to be motivated to do this, and it's still fucking hard for me to do. Like, really hard, and getting to 10,000 steps, I don't get there every day. Like, sometimes, I was on a
I don't get them on Fridays because I'm recording podcasts. When I'm at work and I'm walking around, it's much easier.
But like, that's the part. Nobody can. You got to have the discipline to keep doing that, and that's the part that gets really difficult.
Keep going,
But the most important is, I think 7,000 step is 7 or 7,500 steps is kind of the where
like get to that point. You
most
think?
Important. So what do you gain from 7,000 up to 10,000? Most of the benefits are from up to 7,000.
That's interesting. I never heard that before.
I've heard. Yeah.
All right.
And you can even if you do it more intensely, maybe 1 minute or two,
right?
Just running on the spot, doing something really, really fast can make up for a lot of those steps. So getting your heart rate really, high for a short time has incredible
that study
benefits.
they came out with a couple years back, I can't remember the exact study, but they said put your treadmill on like 15, like the highest incline that you can have, but at like 1 mile an hour, 2 miles an hour for, and basically like, I don't know, what is it, 20 minutes or something, right? You're barely moving, but you're basically hiking up a mountain. Your heart rate gets pretty good, but like they're like, look, this is like basically running miles and miles, except without any of the sort of ligament or tendon issues of running that long. And when I started digging into that, it's like funny because we have this unpacked assumption that like to be healthy you got to go on an hour run or a half hour run. Meanwhile, you could just pop this thing on fucking steep and be like, oh, okay, that's easy enough. And it's like little hacks like that I always like hearing, because like, look, some days if I only got to 7,000 right now, I feel guilty. I'm like, ah, shit, I didn't make 10. Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I almost don't want to know that I could get the same amount of 7,500. I'm like, so that's easier.
Yeah. And the easiest hack, that is what I'm working on right now. I'm writing a book on sun exposure, and just being out in the sun, getting the energy from the sun. That is really, really the easiest, lowest hanging fruit, you can think of. So better than running inside or at the treadmill, it's just going outside. And even in the winter, there is something to gain from that, because the infrared light goes through clothes and goes into our bodies, and
so you just
improves
don't need
mitochondria.
Even with your parka on, you're still getting,
Yeah, you're still getting some of the energy. Of course, not as much as in the summer, in the height of the summer, but you get a lot more than just being inside, thinking that, okay, the sun is so low that it's no point in going out. It's still important to go out, both even if the ultraviolet light is not there, that is also super important. But you have the infrared, and you have the effect it has on all your physiology. It seems that light has really been so underestimated as a health source.
We had a guy talk about the circadian rhythm on the show, right? And he actually was working with this light bulb company that makes light bulbs that are missing 4 to 475 nanometer spectrum, so none of the blue light in the middle, and
none of the sky blue.
And conversely, that sky blue is the color you want in the morning. And that little tiny thing, again, let's call some of this placebo effect, but I went out and bought those light bulbs, put them in my bedroom, my family room, where we spend the most nighttime time, right? Like, so, and wouldn't you know it, like heart rate variability definitely had to change. Not anymore, because it's part of my new baseline has been established, but like almost immediately, like I felt mood differences. I slept a little bit better. And in the morning, going outside and staring up into that sun coming up, like, and I'm talking not even dawn, I'm talking about like 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. Even I've been told now you can get into like 10:30-ish, even as late as that. It's still sort of in that intensity. I'll tell you what, man, that makes a world of difference. Like a world of difference. My alertness and focus is immediately better when I come back from that walk. Which I just found interesting, because I'm doing nothing. I'm literally walking around the corner. And
it's these small things, maybe 10 minutes or so. And in the height of the summer, you can really see on the heart rate variability. That is very, very beneficial. So that's one of the good things you can do. And when you see it it's more motivating to get outside in the sun when you can see it on the heart rate. Not necessarily at that moment, but over time you can see the benefits of sunlight.
Experience or knowledge about like red light panels, like full body red light panels and HRV? Because I actually I use 2 panel body ones that I use mostly in the winter time, because when we don't have a lot of sun, I find that those really sort of, I think they're almost better than sun for my mood. I mean, maybe because my delta is so high, different in the winter time, But like December, January, when we haven't seen the sun in 2 months, like, cause it's just like not the way you guys don't see the sun, but like, you know, where it's just low here. I mean, you jump in a red light panel for 20 minutes, you feel like $1 million, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it goes into the mitochondria, improves the energy production in the mitochondria. So it's important, and it's more effective than in the winter. You would probably not see so much difference in the summer when you get it from the outside.
Actual sunlight,
yeah. So the sun is of course the best, but at our latitudes and even at your latitudes, it's too little sun in the winter time. The mortality rates, is 25% higher in the winter, and in admissions to hospitals as well. I think both in the northern part of the US and in the whole of Europe, even here in Spain where I'm at right now. So that's a sign of how much we really need the sunlight. We as a species, we come from Africa, just underneath the equator, from like Ethiopia and Kenya and Tanzania. That's where we come from, maybe 50, 100,000 years ago, before we emigrated to Europe and then of course to the US. And so our physiology is built and constructed under these conditions, and the more we have moved away, the paler we have gotten, so that tells you how important the sunlight
and it's funny, Tom and I did a whole episode on like the day after daylight savings time here in the state, like
daylight savings here is everything, cancer rates, auto accidents,
it's really crazy.
Suicide.
Like that one day is a fucking dumpster fire. Yeah,
and that's only that 1 hour.
And it's like we turn in. It's like society goes to a dumpster fire like overnight, and that, like Tom said, it's 1 hour. Like, I mean, how the heck does that make any difference?
You wouldn't. You think you're cheating a system, or I'm getting more daylight at the end of the day, and it's no.
Yeah,
you're just hurting yourself. You're not in tune with nature.
Yeah, so sleep consistency is, according to Whoop, the most important thing in sleep is sleep consistency. It's of course also the hours that you sleep and so on, and the quality of your sleep, your heart rate variability during sleep. But what most affect the sleep is consistency, that you go to bed and get up at more or less the same time.
Consistency is mostly around timing, I would imagine, right? Yeah. I wonder why any insight as to why that might matter? I'm curious. Like, is it just that your body gets used to that?
It's probably that you go into the good, brain waves more efficiently when it's predictable for your system when you go to bed. And where we come from, then, of course, in Africa, under the equator, it would be exactly the same time with day and night every day.
12 hours each side.
All around the year, right? Yeah. So the problem now is that we get the wrong light, or too little light, and the wrong light in the daytime, and we got too much light in the evening time and the nighttime. So the big leap is from understanding that the light makes us visible, and that the light goes into our cells and do a super important job. So that's what I'm, of course, writing the new book now.
Full of lots of light
my head
stuff.
is full of and we learned nothing about that, of course, in medical school, or even
I almost made a joke,
for the last 5 or 10 years.
As much about light as you did about nutrition in med school. Like you just
probably about the same.
When he did all that work on the circadian rhythm, it didn't even exist in medical literature.
Like they didn't know what part of the brain controlled it. The
suprachiasmatic
he did that work
nucleus.
In the early 80s. No one even knew what it's not that long ago, but no one knew what the SCN was. Like, no one had any idea. Like, and he literally had to write the book on it, and now we all use it as like duh.
And there's over 10,000 studies about junk light.
And now we're like, duh, like no shit, but like it makes total sense. But like, that's why I always love talking to guys like you, because it's like, well, what else are we going to, what other duh moments are we going to have in 10 years that,
Yeah.
I think, it's really simple, right? The more you can ask, did people live under these conditions, 10,000 years ago or 20,000 years ago? And if the answer is yes, it's probably beneficial for you. Were they outside? Were they sleeping in the darkness at night? Were they eating real food? Were they moving? Were they, relaxing?
Yeah.
All of these things, it's all free.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing how much.
Yeah, it's once you get sick, that's the expensive part. That's when they take away everything that you made, and save for your retirement. That's when they take it all away.
Yeah, they just let you
die here.
This sounds a little corny, but every morning when I'm stretching, I literally am kind of repeating a version of this. Like, your 90-year-old self is going to thank you for today. Because it's like,
yeah.
And it's stupid. You got to do it 7 days a week. I mean, I'm almost 50, and like, if I don't stretch for 2 days, man, that third day is a bitch. I just like.
Mm-hmm.
God, and here's my watch telling me to stand up.
It's time to stand. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, and that's important. It's really important to move regularly throughout the day. So you cannot make up for sitting still for like 7 hours with going to exercise for half an hour, because sitting still, our physiology, our whole system is not made for that. So we need to get up, that's why all these devices will tell you, people would be annoyed probably, but, just get up and move.
Yeah.
And that's super important, makes your lymph fluid circulate and your blood circulation better. So just getting up, running on the spot or using skipping rope or whatever,
I try to keep
really, really important.
Daily, like when I go out for a walk, like I don't think anything over 2,500 steps in one single walk. I'm like, I don't want to like shove it all into one spot. So like I'll do 1,500, 2,000, and I'll do that 5
Break
times.
It up.
Like, like I'll do, or I'll try to anyway. Right. Like, cause
yeah,
well, it's
that's
like one
thing.
of those things somebody told me 100 years ago. They're like, don't, 10,000 steps doesn't mean 10,000 at the end of the day, in one shot. Like, you can't just go run a half marathon at the end of the day and be fine, right? Like, it doesn't quite work like that. Although I wish it did. It'd be a lot easier.
Yeah.
So, Doc, what you said you're working on a book. When can we expect that? Like, what's your?
Hopefully in late
it's
May or so.
Okay.
So I still have to write it, and
so soonish though. I mean,
there's a lot of work ahead of me. Yeah, all right. I've done a lot. So it's actually now it's quite a big book. I have to, and it's such an important book that I don't want to release it until I know that it's
I gotcha.
It's good enough, but
it seems like you got a great template though with the first book, right? Like it feels like you definitely cracked the formula. I mean, you found the voice. And how you needed to say it.
Yeah.
I love, by the way, that writing a health book makes you like a minor celebrity in anywhere, because you could write the best health book in the world here and no one would ever know who you are.
No one. I mean, you could literally sell millions of copies and still we'd all be like, who's that?
I love that there's a country out there that cares enough about it collectively to make you a celebrity. That's fucking awesome, man. Cool. Let's plug the book while we got it. Where can we find this? Is it an Amazon thing? Where do we?
It's Amazon. Yeah. So it's on Amazon, The Pulse Cure. It's on also, and many podcast listeners want to listen to the book, so it's also an audiobook, an Audible. So it's narrated by a British speaking person. Then it's not me that are talking, but it's also an ebook, so it's possible to get it there. And if you want to see what I'm talking about the Garmin watch, I also have a website called thepulsecure.com, where it's possible to see a video lecture where I'm showing how I use.
Yeah, we love videos.
Watch.
Yeah, videos are good.
Oh, that's great.
I'm gonna pull that up right after this. Actually, yeah, I know. I love this stuff.
Matt's going to buy another
Garmin. My
Garmin
was from my triathlon days, so like I've got the old 960 or whatever. It wasn't really. It was pre sort of like health tracking. It was more like about activity tracking, right? Like, so I've got mine dialed into all my triathlon. I do like a Galloway run thing, and I've got all my settings and everything in there. So like, when you go, they are kind of slick, man. I don't know, Tom, I don't know if you ever played with one for triathlon, but you hit lap button and it's like, you're in transition 1. You hit lap button again, you've started the bike. You hit lap button, you know, you're in transition 2. And it's like, then when I get to the run, it's like, you've done 3:30 in running. Now it's 30 seconds to walk, and it'll just do that through the whole marathon. And it's like, so I literally hit start, and my whole Ironman was on autopilot. Like, I just had to like listen into the watch. That's it. Just, it beeps, I do something. It beeps again, I do something else. Like, you know, but it was before.
Wow. So what's your VO2 max?
The second thing that I have never done, and I don't know why I didn't do it, but I didn't train VO2 max. I actually trained on HRV. So like when I was doing training, I just didn't. It wasn't important. I mean, same thing. I got into like they have the force meters built into the hubs of the bikes and on your pedals to a lesser measurement degree, and you can get people train on watts a lot. And I didn't do any of that stuff. I train on watts with Cycle Class because it's an easy metric that's on the bike. But even that, I'm like, I don't know what those numbers mean necessarily.
Yeah, and the VO2 max is really important number. So yeah. So, and the most important thing is not to be in the bottom quarter of, you know, of the VO2 max. So if you find yourself like in that red zone, where the other 25% lowest, you know, performing fitness people are, then your chances of getting sick and dying is so much higher. There's so much more correlation between VO2 max and mortality. Much more than, you know, between smoking and overweight and whatever. So having a good enough fitness level, that's really important. And you don't need to be on the top, you know, but you need to stay away from that bottom.
That actually took an interesting approach. They actually took their desired HRV for when they're 90, like a healthy HRV at 90 or a VO2 max at 90 and work backwards. So like, they're like, all right, if you lose this much per decade, this is where I need to be now. And I was like, that's kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah, smart. Yeah, good thinking. Maybe I'll adopt that.
Like, I wouldn't even know like where to find a chart to find out. Like, I'm sure this is all Googleable, but I mean, I'm not even in the weeds enough to know like what. I mean, at 49, like I did a VO2 max once on this ring, and I think it had me running around the block for, you know, X number of minutes, and I think I had a 41 on this watch or this ring. I don't know what that means though.
I don't think the rings are good. At least the Oura ring is not good at estimating the VO2 max. So I think my VO2 max is, for example, like 45, and on the Oura ring I get 39. But on Whoop and Garmin,
so you think 45, Whoop and Garmin,
so they seem to be matched. And I also been running on a treadmill also to check it.
I mean, it was good. Loosely aware that Apple tracks that as well. Is that something that, like, do you have any idea?
Yeah, I think that's more accurate.
Yeah, and I know it's stupid. You only need like, what, 10, 20 minutes? Like, it's not even that much time to do it. Like, I mean, I'm curious, actually, now I'm really curious. But cool, man. Well, listen, Doc, thank you so much for coming, man.
Thank you so much, Doc.
Fun one for me because, you know, more shit to buy.
Yeah, great that you had this experience as well. Very nice talking to you.
Cool, man. Well, listen, we'll send everybody your way and hopefully help you be more of a celebrity. And that's that.
Yeah, and when the book comes out in English, feel free to hit us up. We'll come.
Yeah. That'd be great. That'd be great.
By the way, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I translating it's pretty cool.
I think once the text is finished in Norwegian, I'll get it translated immediately because I want it out in English as fast as possible. But then, of course, I need to find a publisher. But hopefully that will be
easier, cool, man. The second one's a little easier than the first one, so I've heard.
Hopefully.
Yeah. They know who you are the second time.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. All right. Well, listen, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the night. Take care, guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Be subversive, irreverent.
Health is wealth, but you knew that.
Everybody knows that.
But so is following us on social media at Irreverent Health. And check out our website for more exclusive content at irreverenthealth.com.
Oh, I like this.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Irreverent Health.